through the double doors of Brookdale South Bay. It's a Southern California independent living, assisted living community. And I have to navigate my way through this large gaggle of residents and caregivers and family members all waiting in the lobby for a big bus trip to go downtown LA to a museum. I'm navigating my way through them, and I finally make my way to the concierge desk, and I introduce myself. I say, hello, my name is Andrew. I'm with Brookdale's innovation team. I'm here to meet with Dale. With Dale, the entrepreneur in residence from the company Syntab. And the Entrepreneur in Residence program is a 5-day free stay for an entrepreneur working for a startup company. And the point of it is to fully immerse yourself in the senior living experience so that you can design products with seniors, not for them. And she looks at me and she turns her head and she says, Dale, oh, you mean the UK guy? And I said, yeah, Dale, the UK guy. He's from London. He's got a great British accent. Please go tell him I'm here. I'd like to meet with him. So she asked me to wait in the executive director's office, and I'm there by myself. And I'm reflecting, it's the day before the big game. I'm really nervous because tomorrow, National Public Radio is coming to the community to interview Dale and to interview some residents about the program. And the reason I'm so excited about this is a huge megaphone for us to be able to tell the story of the Entrepreneur in Residence program to the world and encourage other people to join us on this mission of engaging seniors in the product development process. Because with all of this investment, all this innovation, all this new technology coming into our space, we really need to make sure, like all of the other wonderful speakers have already said, to keep the resident and their family member at the center of the creation. So finally, the executive director comes in, not Dale, and she says, we've had to go get someone to wake Dale up. He's napping. He had stayed up a little late last night playing cards with some of the male residents, and we've got to go wake him up. So I said, okay, great, bring him in, go wake him up. We got to make sure we're ready for tomorrow. She turns back around and she kind of hushes her voice and she says, you know, everybody was so excited to meet Dale. We called him the UK guy. We built up the excitement, and he got here, and people like Dale, but nobody likes Syntab. And I'm like, okay, it's not the point of the program to sell their product. They don't have to like it. In fact, the point is for Dale to immerse himself in the senior living experience and get real feedback on whether or not this product is going to serve the needs of our residents. So she says, okay. So finally, Dale comes in, and I was expecting the UK guy, someone maybe like a young Winston Churchill, a little portly perhaps, with a tweed jacket. And instead, Dale pops in. He's got crazy hair up and to the right. He's got red tips. He's wearing jeans and a band t-shirt, the consummate millennial tech entrepreneur. And I introduced myself to him. He's a phenomenal guy. I asked him how it's going so far, and he said he's had some really good one-on-one interactions with residents, has made some good friends with a lot of the male residents, and it had gotten a couple of people to try Syntab out. In fact, one resident was very excited about the opportunity, and she even had Wi-Fi in her apartment. But they went to set up Syntab, and she couldn't remember her password because her grandson set it up, so she couldn't install it. So I asked him if he'd done a demo for a big group of residents, and he said he had not. And I want to make sure we get as many people excited and understand what Syntab is so that we can make sure we've got residents to speak to NPR the next day. So I go into helper mode. Like, let's set up a demo, 10 a.m. Let's get as many people in there as possible so that you can really spread the word about Syntab throughout the community and get some folks to give you some good feedback. So we're talking to residents in the lobby, we're knocking on doors, we're asking folks at breakfast, and we get a couple of people to agree to come at 10 a.m. for a demonstration of Syntab. And it has to be right at 10 a.m. We can't get in the room before then because yoga is happening in the activity room between 9 and 10. And as many of you know, yoga can be a very popular and exciting part of the day. So we're waiting outside the room. A couple of residents are milling outside the room with us. And finally, 10 a.m. hits. And from the other side of the door, I hear very softly, namaste. And the doors slowly open, and I hear soothing music inside. And Dale pops in the door and tries to go set up the television for the demo. And I make my way and ask some of the yogis if they're willing to stick around for the demonstration. And they said yes. So some residents start filing in, then more residents come in, and more residents come in until the whole room is packed from front to back with seniors. We had to bring in more chairs. We had to give Dale a microphone so we could be heard in the very back. And we had generated a lot of exciting buzz about this new technology, Syntab, that the UK guy has brought to get your feedback on. Finally, Dale gets to go into his demonstration of Syntab. Syntab is a box Much like an Apple TV, it connects to your television, it connects to your cable box. It has a little camera that sits on top of the television. It has a simple-to-use remote, much like a Roku remote. And what this box does is it puts a layer on top of the television of features that you can use for various things. Things like video conferencing, messaging, access to content about the community. Maybe it's activities or the menu or custom content that people in the community have put together. Access to content that people outside of the senior living community have put together. Maybe it's photos from your family. Maybe it's World War II enthusiasts or bicycle enthusiasts, whatever you could imagine. Here's corgis are cool is one topic that's on the Syntab community. But it also comes with a mobile app. And the mobile app is intended for people who typically use mobile devices, smartphones, tablets. And the point of Syntab and why they developed it was to give seniors who are more often used to working with a television the ability to interact with people who are more often used to working with smartphones and tablets to connect to their family. So we finished the demonstration, and Dale gets some great questions. Questions you almost might expect from a group of tech-savvy millennials about passwords, about security, about how can I get content up there? How much content can I upload? How quickly can it upload? Where does the content come from? Lots of phenomenal questions. We're waiting outside the room as people are filing out and headed to lunch. And one woman comes up to Dale and she has a feature request. She says she's very excited about the camera and video chatting with her family because her family lives all over. But when she's video chatting, she asked if the camera could be turned off that's facing her. And Dale goes, the point of the video chatting is so you can see them and they can see you. That's really the point, so help me understand what you're thinking. And she says, well, I don't want them to see how old I look. And we're laughing a little bit, yeah, we're all a little vain. And she proceeds to tell us she doesn't want to have to put on her makeup. She doesn't want to have to get dressed up when she wants to video chat with her family. And that was a great and insightful feature. So Dale said, thank you so much for that. We'll add it to the list. I really appreciate your feedback. So she heads off to lunch. And Dale and I are walking down the corridor headed to lunch ourselves, and there's a man blocking our path. And this man has just eyes locked on Dale. You can tell he wants to talk to Dale. He's got a walker. We walk up to him. We're a good, comfortable distance away. And then he moves his walker closer, and he gets right up in Dale's face. And he picks his arm up, and he points at his watch, and it's an Apple Watch. This man is Ray Anderson. This is an actual photo that Ray gave me on a USB device, along with photos and videos from the community. And he proceeds to tell, he's in his early 90s, he's been living in the community for over 3 years. He proceeds to tell us that Syntab, that he does not like Syntab. It is juvenile, it's not for seniors. If Dale really wants to make a difference in seniors' lives, he needs to partner with Apple because Apple really gets it. He even tells a great story about how he uses his Apple Watch. He sits with the same group of people for breakfast every morning. And there's one woman at breakfast who loves biscuits and gravy, but sometimes she forgets to order her biscuits and gravy. So Ray has set on his Apple Watch a reminder every morning to send to the kitchen staff in the community to remember to make her biscuits and gravy and bring it every morning. Isn't that great? So we finished with Ray. We asked him if he'll come talk to NPR the next day because he's got a lot of great experience and thoughts about technology and senior living. And we make our way to lunch. And the last I see of Dale, he has just gotten through the salad bar, and he's making his way trying to find a place to sit. Because as you know, in the senior living community, the dining room is the center of gravity, and it's hard to break in and build a new relationship. So it's the next day, another beautiful, sunny Southern California day, just like every day in Southern California. God bless him. And I make my way through the double doors. Not a lot of activity in the lobby this morning. I go up to the concierge and I say, hello, my name is Andrew. I'm here to see Dale, the UK guy. Would you please go tell him I'm here? And so she asked me to wait in the office again. And again, I'm by myself and I'm reflecting. I'm very nervous now. Today is the big day. NPR is coming. Ina Jaffe from NPR. I don't know if you know her name, but she is nationally and renowned, award-winning, and has focused her career on the aging space for the last number of years. And I've built her up in my head as this larger-than-life reporter who's reported in war zones and is only going to give us 5 minutes of her time, so it all has to be perfect. And the concierge comes back in, not Dale. And she says, I'm sorry, we had to go get someone to wake Dale up. He's napping. He stayed up late last night watching the presidential debates with some of the male residents and having some beers. We've sent someone to get him. Yes, please, go get Dale. We only have 30 minutes before Ina comes. And so Dale comes in, we get ready, and when Dale came in, I noticed he was a little more dressed up today. He had on jeans and a little more formal t-shirt. And Ina arrives. I had built Ina up in my head as this larger-than-life reporter. She is 5'0" nothing, 100 nothing, and the sweetest woman you'll ever meet. This is a picture of her taking a picture of Ray and Dale. We sit down in the executive director's office for the interview. She pulls out this big headphones, her recorder, a microphone, and she asks Dale to tell his story. Dale's family, very large family, immigrated from Jamaica to the UK. He's very close to his grandparents, his granny and his grandfather. And a few years prior, his grandfather had passed away, and his granny really started to decline. Big family, everybody tried to visit her, tried to engage her in life, but they really struggled because they had kids, grandkids of their own. So they tried technology. They got Granny a smartphone. They got Granny tablets. She couldn't remember to plug it in. She couldn't remember the passwords. They tried to teach her how to use it, but she struggled sometimes using it. Nothing really seemed to work. Dale, as the favorite grandson, as he liked to tell us, got a call from a company called Syntab, who had built a product. It was an early stage company. They built a product specifically to address the needs of people like Granny and families like Dale's, where Granny could continue to use her television just like she always had and start to engage with the family in ways the family was used to using on their smartphones and tablets. So he jumped at the opportunity. And hearing Dale's story made me reflect on my relationship with my Granny, Granny Sarah, we called her. We were very close in elementary school and middle school. I have such fond memories of going over to her house and playing cards, listening to her organ piano, watching R-rated movies way before I should have been watching R-rated movies like Rambo and Terminator, eating Jimmy Dean sausage biscuits out of the microwave. And when I was in high school, she got Alzheimer's, and she had to move into a dementia care community in Chattanooga, Tennessee, where I'm from. And she really started to decline. And when I was in college, she passed away. And I really regret the fact that I never got the opportunity to develop an adult relationship with my Granny Sarah. But then I came to work for Brookdale, where we serve over 100,000 residents a day in this industry where this family and resident connection is so important to us as an industry. And I'm just so grateful to have such a large family of people like Ray and others that I can learn from and grow with. So we finish the interview with Dale, and we go upstairs to Mary Lou to interview Mary Lou about her experience with Syntab. This is Mary Lou. During the interview, we walk in the room, and she has Syntab plugged up to her television. You can tell she's tried it out. And Ina asks her to tell her story. Mary Lou had only been living in the Brookdale community for about 3 months. She was in her early 90s. She had been living alone for many years. Her husband passed away a couple of decades ago, and she's a very independent woman. She had raised her kids, she worked professionally, she traveled internationally, and she had lived very well on her own. But then recently, as she described it, she had started wasting away. She said her friends were dying off, she wasn't painting anymore, and one day she looked herself in the mirror and said, Mary Lou, if you don't move into somewhere with people like you're gonna die here. And so she gratefully chose Brookdale South Bay, and since then she has flourished. She's painting again. She's made new friends. She's the poster child for community living. And Ina asked her to talk about Syntab. And she points to Syntab and she says, I don't think it's for me. I can see how it might help some people, but then she kind of leans over. You can tell she's sitting weird on her chair. She leans over and points at her back of her room, and she says, well, I got my printer, I got my computer, I got my tablet, and I got my smartphone. I'm pretty well set. All right, Syntab's not for you. So we finish with Mary Lou, and we go downstairs to talk to Ray. And as you can imagine, Ray's opinion of Syntab has not changed in the last 24 hours. He proceeds to tell Dale all the things Ina and Dale, all the things he told us the day before, and spends a good 45 minutes with them talking about why Dale and Syntab should be partnering with Apple if they really want to develop products that seniors will use. And so Ina has gotten everything she needs. She leaves, and it's just Dale and me. And I asked him what he thought. And he said, seniors are just more tech savvy than we thought. We've got a lot of work to do. And 2 months later, he still had 2 more days in his residency, so there was still a lot of time to build relationships and get more feedback. And so 2 months later, we had a phone call set up with Dale. We do that with all the entrepreneurs that go through our program to ask how it went, get feedback, see how their product has changed. And I was so nervous leading up to this phone call because just like the executive director told me on the first day, nobody likes Syntab. And I want it to be a positive experience. You're going to get some good, negative, hard feedback because he would never hear that. Dale would never hear that from his own granny, but he should from our residents. And I get on the phone with him, and he's elated. He's so excited. He's so thankful for the opportunity to be able to immerse himself in that environment and get real-life feedback in a real setting from residents that he really wants to change their lives and really wants to help them, really wants to create products that will help them change their lives and connect to their families. He goes through this laundry list of product feature changes that they've made specifically based on the experience he had in the program. Things like a new technology in the remote, so you don't have to point it directly at the box. You can point it wherever you want and it'll go. New marketing messaging, ways to engage the family, Wi-Fi setup, password changes, so many product changes that came out of this program. And he said he was so grateful for the opportunity. So I'll leave you with this. Dale's story is only one of only 10 that have gone through our Entrepreneur in Residence program. But it's also only one of thousands of people's stories who are trying to create new technologies and new products and services to serve our residents and our family members. And I think what we can learn from Dale's story is that it's going to take us coming together to really make this work. The unmet needs are profound and huge, and there's so many of them. We're going to have to come together to really address those unmet needs. And in this, together is not just the industry. We do need to come together as an industry, but it's also together with our residents, together with our families, together with our staff to make sure we're really designing products and services that meet the needs of our residents. So in the spirit of togetherness, if you would like to partner with us to innovate together, please email me. This comes directly to me. And it's really going to take us together, coming together, to change the way people age in America. Thank you.